Hey everyone, my name's Rossco and welcome to the first video on my channel. So obviously very new to this, so any issues with camera movement or audio or anything like that, at this stage all feedback's really appreciated, so just let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to say. So we're going to be going through my Planet Zoo project, Swan Valley Zoo, today. So I've been working on it for pretty much the entire time Planet Zoo's been out, on and off. I'm a very slow builder to begin with, and like most people with this game, get a bit burnt out occasionally and like to have the odd break, but we'll be going through most of what I've done so far. So a little bit about the zoo to begin with. Swan Valley Zoo, of course, set in the Swan Valley of Western Australia, which is where I'm originally from. So in terms of climate, we're talking temperate, but leaning towards arid, can get pretty hot and dry, but at the same time has potential to have the odd cold day, which is important when we get to building our animal habitats, because we need to make sure we've got sufficient shelter and indoor quarters and things like that for the animals to deal with the odd cold day as well. So just think lots of gum trees, lots of bushland. That's the sort of setting that we're looking at. So we'll head on through. You've got our little Swan Valley logo there of the black swan, which we'll see again soon. But once we head in, first thing you see is the huge parking lot. Very, very large for the size of the zoo now, but the idea is with how big the zoo will be once it's eventually finished or close to finish, this sort of parking lot size will be fairly sufficient, I think. But to left, we've got some bus coach parking. This would be for school groups, corporate groups, all that sort of thing. Anyone arriving in a bus or coach. Got a little security guard shelter there, some cameras and boom gates, and then a little rest shelter, which would be for the bus drivers who obviously, you know, drop a group off to the zoo, but then they have to kill a couple of hours. So a nice little area for them to sit in so they don't just have to stay in the bus for half a day. And a little security buggy around the corner as well. So speaking of, lots of workshop items in this zoo, not afraid to use them. Got some really amazing blueprints on the workshop and people create amazing stuff. Much better than I would be able to make if I was to try myself, so why not use what people are sharing? That's how I feel. Speaking of, we got the bus there, Moblung's bus I believe. You see that in everyone's zoos nowadays, one of the more famous blueprints. Regardless, we will push on to the entrance. So we've got this bridge, goes over a nice little water feature. Nice lake out the front. I have thought about with using mods, we could add some pelicans or black swans and ducks to the lake out the front. So if I do decide to add mods, I think I'll definitely do that. But at this stage, we haven't got any animal mods, so it's just empty at the moment. But regardless, it's still nice just to look at as a water feature. And under the buses and eventually put some cars in the car park, there are guest spawners. So that's how you can see there's guests coming from sort of lots of different angles moving through the entrance area, which I think is pretty neat. And this is the entrance plaza. So we've got the Swan Valley Zoo logo there. A little bit about the black swan. They're the state emblem of Western Australia. And until more recently than I'd like to admit, I actually thought that black swans were only found in WA. Turns out they're found a lot across a lot of Australia. But regardless, they are the state emblem and very symbolic of Western Australia. We hold them very dear. So coming through, we've got the little welcome entrance there, and then we've got our ticket booths. A little custom billboard, join the family, become a zoo member there, and some more custom billboards showing off the ticket prices. We've got information booths set in there, so they don't actually sell tickets, but it does mean guests walk up to them and do buy stuff from them, and we can imagine they're buying tickets. I think it does the job fairly well. And just left of the entrance, we have our gift shop. So this is a good opportunity to talk about how I'm going to approach interiors in basically all my builds. Rule is, if you can see it from the outside, then I'm going to build an interior. You're not going to see any closed doors interiors around here. It's just a lot of time, a lot of effort. Interiors are really tricky for me as well, and just piece count that we know impacts the performance. So if you can't see it from the outside when you're walking around, I'm not really going to do it. But the gift shop is an example of where you definitely can see it from the outside, and thus there is an interior. So we'll take a step inside. This place is covered in workshop items for all the plushies and different things. I was pretty happy with this area. Considering how early on in my Planet Zoo life I built it, I was really impressed. took me ages. But lots of inspiration from other people's builds, and these tree structures with the plushies on them were inspired by Berlin Zoo's souvenir shop. But the rest of the shop sort of just ideas as they came, sort of plopped around. And again, we've got some actual stores. A hat's fantastic and just a memento there, so visitors do come in and purchase stuff and use the gift shop. I don't like to go completely implied with my building, so I like to put stuff inside like this to make sure visitors or staff or whoever are actually engaging with the building I've built. Okay, we will continue through the entrance. These are the bins you'll see around the zoo. Funny little story with them is they are actually designed after the bins at Melbourne Zoo, which is where I work as a keeper. So I didn't actually know when I first started using them. It wasn't until the creator mentioned on the Bro Nation Discord that they were after the Melbourne Zoo ones, and then instantly I thought, oh, you know what, you did a pretty good job. But yeah, they're all around the zoo. Of course, this is our sort of post-entry plaza now. Lots of really open space at the start of this zoo. I'm going to try and make sure I sort of close it in once we get into the animal sections. But this area I think is really important. This is where, after all the hustle and bustle of coming to the zoo, you get everyone through the tickets, everyone's parked their car, all of that. This is where you pause, take stock, go to the toilet, which is just over there, and decide what you're going to do with your day, what animals you're going to see, what order you're going to go through the zoo. Do you have enough time to see the whole zoo, or are you going to have to cut corners, that sort of thing. Really exciting moment, I think, for me on a day out to the zoo or aquarium or theme park is this moment where you sit down, look at what an awesome day you're going to have ahead, and plan out how you're going to see it all. So, coming around this way to the right, that's a little gate, I believe by Toves. Might not be, but I think it is. It goes through to a little maintenance area we'll check out later on. And then from here, we do have a vista point, so we'll go see what these guests are looking at. There you are. Nice overview of our giraffe, zebra habitat, and then next door to it, our flamingo habitat as well. So a neat little view here. Gets you excited to get up close and see the animals and all the other ones that you can't see from here as well. Right around we go. Before we head down to those animal enclosures, we've got some Galway green fences, again by Toves, a great YouTuber, content creator. If you don't know about him, definitely follow him as well. These are just to cover up an area that I'm not quite ready to build in yet. The idea is there's going to be a monorail station behind there that will attach to a monorail that goes around the whole zoo. Most of the zoo doesn't exist yet, so this isn't really something that I'm gonna do just yet. But it's nice to have these fences that can sit there in their own right, while the rest of the zoo builds up around it. So thank you, Toes, for those. They're fantastic. You'll see them in lots of people's builds now. They're very popular. And next to toilets, we've got some billboards. These are imagined what I'd change throughout time as the zoo sort of hosts new events and things like that, different ads. But just for now, we've got to fight for wildlife. You know, find out what you can do to help and get up close and personal for the behind-the-scenes experiences that the zoo would offer. And through those little gates there is an exit, but that takes you to the Education Centre and a corporate building that we will check out at the end of the tour as well, along with that maintenance area we whizzed by. Alright, speed up through here. Walk down this pathway. To the left is a staff area for staff access to the flamingos. But we keep on going down. Yeah, we've got another zoo member sign, join the flock. Going to have these all over the zoo. You know, we had a join the family one at the front with the kangaroo. We've got join the flock for flamingos. We'll have a join the herd. You know, we'll keep on going with that. Nice corny zoo signs that we all love. And here is the Flamingo Pools habitat. It's a nice little tiered design, lots of terrain elevation changes, which adds so much to the build. We've got little glass fencing down here, so the little kids can have a good view as well. They don't have to get picked up and sat on the railing. Haven't decided how many flamingos I'm going to have in here. There's quite a lot in there at the moment, so I'm not sure I want too many more in there, but I have a think about that and decide later on. A nice little sunshade. You can see the ropes attached to the anchors through there. I think it's a nice little detail. We'll quickly fly across the fence and check out the behind the scenes for the flamingos. So we've got a gate there for vehicle access, but here's their indoor section. Flamingos, very dirty animals. Like any bird, they do lots of poo. So we've got sort of what would be a sealed plaster area that the keepers could just hose off into the drain at the end of the room there. Just a nice little sort of semi-realistic detail. And then you can see there would be the roller doors if you need to seal the flamingos in, anything like that. little animal crate and scales, clipboard, all that sort of stuff that you would see in a behind the scenes zoo area. Some bins and a little water treatment plant here as well. It's one of my favourite blueprints on the workshop. It actually was built quite early on, I think, in Planet Zoo, so it still stands up. Still very impressive, but I definitely did not build this. But regardless, love to use it because it looks fantastic. Okay, we will fly back over the flamingo habitat. Get a bit of a different view of it. You see the forage pools sunk in, so you can't really see them as a visitor, but you get the flamingos to engage with them. It looks very nice. Little picnic area. I love little spots like this in the zoo. Sit down, have a bite to eat. Look one way, you can see the flamingos, hear the flamingos, and look the other way, you get a nice view of the giraffes and zebra as well. Which we get another nice view of that exhibit there. We'll continue on down the stairs. To the left, the zoo ends at the moment, but this will be the entrance to the Australia section, is what I'm thinking at the moment. And that can connect to the Children's Zoo, which connects to the Education Centre. That's sort of what I'm thinking at the moment, but that's a long way away. But what is here now is our zebras. They're actually showing off for us. This is a first. That's the nice thing about Planet Zoo. The experience often is a lot like a real zoo, where the animals don't cooperate, but that's the beauty of them. It means when you get moments where they are doing stuff, it makes it that much more special. We've got a giraffe running out of the giraffe barn as well. So really happy with this enclosure. Nice big hitting animals straight out the gate. And it's a good sort of segue into the rest of the Africa section, which will extend behind this. Another custom billboard. The photos on that are actually in-game screenshots of that specific named animal. There's no way of telling for sure, of course, but I know. I hope you believe me. And that's just next to an info station, which is attached to a talk point station, which is attached to the new seating from the latest update, which is really nice when it's in use. Fills up the area nicely. This is where I'm gonna put some zoo signs one day. It's a bit hard, a zoo map, sorry. It's a bit hard to make a zoo map when the zoo is still pretty limited, but further down the track, I'll give that another go. Yeah. A nice view of this habitat. It's really nice when the giraffes are feeding from this feeder just there. Get them so up and close and personal. This is pretty inspired by the giraffe and zebra enclosure at Melbourne Zoo as well. They've got a similar moat, although it's a dry moat, and they've got some pretty similar feeders like this as well. This sort of pattern on top to obviously not be real trees, but to indicate that you're trying to make them look a little bit more natural. You continue this way around the edge of the habitat. Still lots of nice views from this angle as well. All the animals. A nice little decking here. This little lake as well. Probably put some swans or pelicans in there if I do decide to use modded animals that is. Which takes us to the entrance to Africa. A little sneak peek of what I'm working on back there. Still very much work in progress, but it's coming along nicely. But we're not looking at that today, so we're just going to sneak through, fly by all the in progress. And we're going to check out the behind the scenes of the zebra and giraffe. So this is a holding pen for the zebra. Really important with pretty much any animal that you have the facilities and infrastructure to separate animals if they need be, particularly if they're ones that can have some issues with aggression, just like zebras can, especially between males. So we'll duck into the interior, and here we have the zebra barn. So this is all working interior as far as the animals are concerned. The one mod I am using is Planet Zoo Plus, which adds a lot of stuff, but the main thing I care about is it reduces the animal hitbox size, which means that they can actually, the zebra and the giraffe barn can actually access these stalls. They can fit through these little doorways, which I find really cool because they do come in here and use the hay to sleep on, which I really like. Nice little food prep area, a computer here as well, which is important. Computers everywhere in the zoo I work at least. Lots of record keeping and access to cameras and stuff like that. Yeah, helpful to have them all over the place. Got little doors to all the stalls as well. And right at the entrance to the zebra barn, we have what is called a crush. So this is used in ungulate care and cattle at farms and stuff like that. It's just an area you can section off to sort of close the animals in if you need them in a confined space for vet attention, or in this case, you can see there's a floor scale to obtain weights on the animal as well. You can see it's connected to a little screen that says 0 kilograms, which I thought was a fun little detail. And that here takes you out into the habitat. We're not going back there just yet. We'll go over the top. Lots of solar panels. We love renewables. We'll go around to the giraffe barn. So this is our hay shed. Again, the little bobcat bulldozer thing and the horse float are workshop items. Much beyond my abilities there, but they do the job really well. They look awesome. So we've got some hay bales just made out of the thatch roof pieces. I thought they do the job pretty well. Not perfect, but yeah, good enough. Staff building here. This one's actually inspired by a public toilet at a park near me. So it goes to show you, inspiration is everywhere. But I find looking at real buildings is really helpful just to get little details like this little cage over the pipes here, which I never would have thought of, but adds that little bit of detail and realism and makes what would be potentially a really boring building just really fit in a little bit more suitable. Again, I've hidden staff rooms and keeper huts in there, so the staff, like that vendor there, do actually use the buildings, which is that little bit of actual in-game interaction that I really like. Not going completely implied. On the left is our giraffe holding pen, just like the zebras have one as well. I have one for the giraffes. We'll come through this gate into the giraffe barn. It's this area, double gates for vehicle access. Got lots of holding pens. And then we've got a raised walkway which goes around the whole barn as well. So obviously giraffes are very tall. You want to be able to inspect their face nice and close, inspect their eyes and nose, mouth, all of that. So you need to have a raised walkway so you can be properly stationed to do that. As you can see, like the giraffe there, not the giraffe, zebra, using the stalls. I can't stop the zebra from using the giraffe stalls. Unfortunately, the giraffe can't get into the zebra barn, but it seems like they all love the giraffe barn more, and they all are always in here, but that's okay. They're allowed. I'll let them. So yeah, difference with the zebra stall, the giraffe ones have sliding doors between each of the stalls as well. So not only can you isolate the single stalls, you can open them up to give them more space, or if you want to introduce some to the stall next door, anything like that. And that's what this little board here connects to. Each of these buttons would be a sliding gate. It'd be sort of electronically controlled. The green ones are the ones that are open. The red ones are the ones that are closed. Yeah, I like the idea of this. I'm not quite stoked with my my presentation of it here. I think I could do it a bit better, but for now, I think it does the job. And a really nice little detail on the TV in here, the computer. I've taken screenshots of different sections in the barn and put on here like it's a live camera feed, which I thought was really cool. And you would get this in a barn like this, overlooking, if people have to do the night shift, if there's a giraffe ready to give birth or something, you'd be looking on these cameras and keeping an eye on her to see whether it's time, stuff like that. It's a nice little detail. It's all in the details. And then we've got these holding sections here which connect to the outdoor pen there. This would be where you'd have that breeding female. So you could have her in one stall, the baby in a separate one if you need to separate them. And then you've got an additional stall as well, which would be really good for introducing other members of the herd or the dad. Stuff that would be really important as well. Yeah, that's the giraffe barn. And they've got a crush just like the zebra do, with its own set of floor scales and own little screen that has the reading for that as well. Here we go. It's just moments like this that are awesome. Just having a build and having the animals actually interact with it is just fantastic. There you go. Isn't that awesome? Very cool. Alright, we'll head through the crush back into the habitat. There we go. So that's the giraffe and zebras. We've just got 2 giraffe and 4 zebra in here at the moment. There's another male on his way that we'll see in the next video. And now we'll fly across the zoo and we'll go to this little education centre. So these were some of the first buildings I built in this zoo, so they're really not up to the standards of my later stuff. So I do want to go back and update them, but we'll still check them out as they are for now. So this is the Attenborough Education Centre in its initial form. So people can access it up that ramp to the right, but we'll go through the front. And this is a direct pathway to the bus parking, because that's where, you know, the coaches would park and the school kids will all jump off and they would come straight to the education centre. So in we go. And this area was finished just before I went on one of those burnt out from Planet Zoo breaks, so I was pretty lazy in here. I used lots of workshop items and didn't really fill it out as much as I would have liked to. So definitely going to come back and update this place. I'm really excited to do that because the idea I really like. I think it'd be really cool. Just want to, update it, make it better, make it bigger. That'd be really cool. So yeah, the school groups would come in here. You've got some activity rooms, lecture theatres. You can come in, bring the groups through. You've got some exhibits. You've got giant leaf insects and giant burrowing cockroaches next to each other there. And you've got a nice little quote. I'm a sucker for corny quotes like this, so they're definitely going to show up around the zoo. David Attenborough, Jane Goodall, Diane Fossey, and all those sorts of people. Very inspirational. The whale skeleton is another amazing workshop item. Definitely would have to be fiberglass. There's no way there's enough support for anything very heavy. Honestly, it might not even be enough support for fiberglass, but we'll pretend. So we'll come over this way and check out. This is just a corporate office building. Nothing too fancy. Just where, you know, any research, corporate sales, all that stuff would happen in here. Just lots of offices. Again, very dated. You can tell. Not my best builds in the world, especially the interiors, but we'll come back through here and update it and really make it look good. Got some elevators off the workshop. Cool thing about them, there's a path through there, so the staff actually do walk through. Looks like they're using it, when really they're actually coming through to this stairway here, which then connects to the absolute maze of staff buildings. Again, can't see it from outside, so not going to do an interior there. However, with the staircase, we've got this glass wall there, so you can see, which I think is a pretty cool effect, even though the interior is very basic there. Yes, that's that little area. Education Centre is going to be much bigger, much cooler. Connect up to the children's zoo eventually and the monorail station, so there's a lot of promise for that idea, I think. We'll duck over to this area, our assets and maintenance. So this is all just workshop stuff pretty much. We've got a little MRF site is what we call it at work. I have no idea what MRF stands for, but it's basically a compost heap. In reality, it would be sectioned off so you can rotate it for the different stages of composting, but I got pretty lazy here and just sort of made it one big pile. I think it does the job well enough for now until we have the energy to update it properly. Some forklift, the workshop spaces, trailers, scissor lift back there off the workshop, and then just some hay, dirt and sand piles, little emergency generator, little radio tower, signal tower, some construction lights. You'll find zoos have lots of these sort of dumping areas where it's just stuff you need but you don't really know where to keep it, so it just sort of gets shoved around the place. Some storerooms, a little cleaners area as well. Uniform store. All of these have staff buildings hidden inside them, so staff do actually walk inside when they're around. Through this way, same with the workshops. They've got some workshops inside, some actual in-game workshops. Just some shelving and storage, some vehicle storage there as well. Lots of buggies and trucks, and a couple more storerooms as well. So that pretty much finishes what we're going to go over in the tour today. There is, in the distance over there, our vet centre and quarantine, but that's quite an involved area, so I'm going to do that in a separate video just to keep this one a little bit short, even though we've already gone pretty long. But we'll just do a little overview of the zoo so far. So there we are. That is Swan Valley Zoo so far. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for staying this long. It's a bit of a long video, but there was a lot to cover initially. The ones going forward should hopefully be a little bit more succinct. But yeah, appreciate it very much. Again, leave comments if there's any feedback. Give us a like, subscribe if you really like it. I appreciate anything and everything at this stage. So thank you very much, guys. I will see you in the next one and have fun. See you later.